Let's talk gardening, not about playtime and vacation
Well,
and
talking
water.
about being on vacation, Elizabeth was on vacation for about 2 weeks. She came back and her roses looked like they'd just been dusted with white goo. So she wants to know, I mean, it's bad. So her question is there anything she can do, or should she just cut them back and kind of start fresh? Or?
So it depends on how bad it is. So there's two choices. So we had some of that. We had some powdery mildew. It sounds like what Elizabeth is working with. We had it show up on our euphorbias of all things. One in the back, it was fine when we left. Go for a week, come back, and it's starting to get this wilty, has this dusty white look to it. And I sprayed it with triple action, I think last night. I'll follow up here in a few days. And if you can do that, if it's not too bad, if you're ahead of it and you just catch it early, triple action works really well. If you catch it late, 2 weeks may be too late. There you need to get to the bigger, more stronger stuff. There's a product on the shelf here. It's called Revitalize, or copper sulfate, either one of those. Revitalize is kind of an organic. We'd start with that. You spray the foliage, and you'll spray it every couple of weeks until you see the new growth coming out clean. And then you probably are ahead of this thing. If it's really bad, it's dropping leaves. It's completely white. It has stopped blooming. There we get drastic, and there we trim it back. We pick all the leaves off, and it's going to be harsh, but you pick the leaves off, which is all the spores and stuff. Then you spray it with Revitalize or fertilize it. And the new growth that comes out, which will be like within days, will come out clean for you. So it depends on the status. You might bring a sample in a Ziploc baggie, please, because powdery mildew spreads so easy that you really want to get on this. Don't let it go. So, but hopefully you've had a good vacation. You're well
You're ready
rested.
to work hard.
You're ready to garden some. So it's all good.
That is true. Very true. So I'm going to have to put reading glasses on because I can't read the other questions.
Oh, I tell you what, those are nice looking reading glasses. Those folks on the podcast are looking at the stream. You see it.
Sorry.
No, you look great.
Getting old. So Dan has a question. He lives up by Groom Creek, and everyone is saying, watch out for bark beetle. Watch out for bark beetle. His question is, what specifically is he looking for?
Oh, sure.
And what does a bark beetle look like? Because he sees lots of beetles. He just doesn't know what they're supposed to look like.
If you see, now bark beetles or Ips beetle are very specific. They like the taste of pine trees or conifers. I've seen them migrate over to spruce and fir, and the other things, but they start at the pine trees and they move over to other stuff, and they are bad. So they're tiny, maybe an 1/8 inch, a 1/3 of an inch long. I mean, they're just tiny, but they attack the trees by the thousands. And so you'll see colonies underneath the bark of a big ponderosa pine. It's been there for 100 years. You'll peel off the bark. In fact, as they die and they get some age, the bark will actually fall off. You'll see the burrowing underneath that tunnel. It's quite pretty, actually. It's horrific death, but they die from starvation because they girdle the tree, can't get water from the roots up to the tree. They die. So what do you look for? Look for pinholes. These are tiny beetles. It looks like someone took a bobby pin and just poked a hole in the bark. That's the exit tunnel of a bark beetle. And so I've got on our website, if you're really interested, you can go to watersgardencenter.com. Just type, there's a search bar in the upper right-hand corner. And this is not just a website static. This is an encyclopedia. This podcast will be on the website. Our YouTube videos, channels will be on our store. Garden columns, they're all stored there. But in the upper right-hand corner is a search bar. Just type in bark beetle. I've got an entire list, what it looks like, how it acts, how do you go about it, how do you attack them, how do you protect your trees. It's a one-page thing on just bark beetle. Okay. That's probably the best resource I can give you that's very specific for us here, Groom Creek, the central highlands where ponderosa pines are active.
So I have a lot of people worried. They see the big black beetles floating around. They're worried that those are the bark beetle.
And no. Those are stink bugs or blister beetles, something. We have so many beetles. Now, in the mountains of Arizona, it's dry.
Right.
So most of your problems are feeding off of either the roots, they're down in the roots, so grubs, they're feeding off the roots because it's moist down there, or they're burrowing underneath the bark because it's moist, or they're feeding off the leaves like aphids because it's moist. They're going after the moisture. And so bark beetle burrow underneath the bark to go after the sap and the moisture. So a lot of beetles come from grubs. That's usually what those are. It's a different kind of beetle. So if you see that, look for white worms in the ground. They're eating the roots off your trees, not the bark off your trees. So anyway,
pestilence everywhere.
Well, we don't. It's not as bad as the Midwest or some of the other humid areas, but we got
every
some things
place
to watch.
Has insects you have to
gardening.
Watch. And it's being aware of it. You betcha.
Yeah.
Do we have time for another question?
I think we got a minute. Put your glasses on. I think you're a hottie. I like. Yep. Go ahead.
So Sharon has a very hot southwest corner.
Yep.
Needs a tree that can get at least 15 feet wide. Wants a couple of recommendations.
Oh, most trees get 15 feet wide, so that's pretty easy. So the short ones that are wide, crab apples, red buds, what else? Service berries, choke cherries, purple leaf plums, they all do that. That's where go to our website, top10trees.com. They got all the measurements right there. It's a great resource. You can see the price, the size, they're all right here. Or better yet,
come on down.
We like talking to gardeners face to face rather than an email or whatever. So we'd love you tuning in, checking out and ask questions. But sometimes you're really serious, you really pull the trigger, come and touch and feel. And the plants will they'll call you.
Definitely.
I want you to come in.
Yep.
All right, we are out of time. Ken and Lisa Lane, the Mountain Gardeners, will be right back.